reason is because when we look at the Apollo analyses of the stuff they brought back, which I by and large believe in because it's like, why cook those books? Which is the chemistry. Overwhelmingly, it's silicon dioxide, which is glass.
Okay.
It's also what the Earth is made of. You know, how do you make glass here? How do you make huge, beautiful windows like this? You basically take the most common elements in the Earth's crust, you heat them up, you refine them, you melt them, you put them on these steel plates or rollers, and you roll it out, you press them, and you make sheets of glass, plate glass. So it looks like the lunar ruins are made out of the most common material you find on the moon, which, by the way, when you make ruins, structural buildings out of glass on the moon, they're 20 times stronger than steel. And the reason is there's no water on the moon. There's no atmosphere. There's no impurities that get into the glass that make it weak and brittle. So on the moon, glass is a structural material. And it has, I mean, if you dope it with various minerals, metals, you can make it do all kinds of cool things. Like you can make it photochromic, where when it's exposed to sunlight, it gets dark, like sunglasses, where they darken down automatically. And then as the lunar night would come, it would open up. You could make it radiation resistant. You could make it semi-transparent, so only certain wavelengths come in, other wavelengths are blocked. I mean, on the moon, on the front side, if you're at a place called Sinus Medi, the Middle Bay, when you look up directly overhead, there is this gorgeous Earth hanging overhead, spinning on its own axis, with clouds, day after day, week after week, month after month. The best real estate on the moon to see the Earth would be right there, and that's where we found our first amazing set of whirring sound you hear. A key prediction, remember, science is nothing if it's not prediction. A key prediction of the whole lunar dome model, the ancient lunar dome model, that somebody was there, they lived there, they built incredible, extensive stuff. Apollo was sent there to find out what they could bring home with the primitive rocket technology of the 1950s and 60s. We're doing a lot better now, by the way, secretly. And one of the key predictions of the model is that if you have glass domes, glass ruins, people who live in glass houses see prisms. They see stunning arrays of color. And if you lived in a glass house and you looked at the sun or you look at the reflections and all that, you should see prisms over and over and over again. In these photographs, the model says that we should be able to find prisms. So I started looking. And this is a picture from Apollo 17. You can just see a hint. This is one of the newly scanned, leaked images that somebody's putting 16 megabyte files. So anybody out there can go to the web and download them and use Photoshop, and bingo, you'll confirm exactly what is there. If you turn up the gain, right up here, above these mountains, which aren't mountains, by the way, they're old eroded ecologies, you find a prism. You find a stunning color shard of glass, spectrally refracting light. Now, in the model that was raised earlier, that this is all done in a soundstage, because sound stages will be made of steel and aluminum and, things you build out of. We don't build out of glass here because glass is fragile. Glass breaks down. Glass is not steel on Earth. Only on the moon is it 20 times stronger than steel. So this, if I had to bet the farm on one piece of data that we're right, it's these prisms. Because in looking at these photographs and looking at the way the color emulsion of the ectochrome, the super ectochrome that Charlie Wyckoff, my friend who I worked with and used this film for him, developed, I know that those three layers, yellow, magenta, and cyan, when converted into a color ectochrome transparency, were obviously able of recording. Here's another one. This one has a prism going up and a prism going down. It's called birefraction. It's a double refraction. And as you look through, here's a comparison. The one I showed you first, here's the second one. Notice the angle is different. That's because it was taken at a different angle in relation to the sun. So the physics of the refraction, of the formation of the prisms, here's one of my favorites. This is the PR shot. Cernan wearing the commander's stripes with the flag, but if you look up here in the darkness, in the dome that's over Taurus Littrow, and you enlarge it, lo and behold, you find a prism. a double prism. And you can actually see it's aligned with the stringers in the glass. There's another one here. There's another one up here. These are overwhelming proof, an optical physicist's proof, that what we're seeing is in fact real. Here is probably my favorite. Here is Harrison Schmitt in the moon, lunar landscape, Taurus Littoral Valley, gray landscape, everything we've been told. Here's a color chart, all right? Here's our calibrator, red, green, and blue. This is the grayscale. It's called a gnomon. They would put this out in the photographs to calibrate the color. Well, the color is strangely unsaturated. It's like NASA, when they put these out, they turn down the color. You want to see why? Because when you turn the color back up to the way it should be, bingo, you have sunrise on the moon. You have layered sunrise, just like looking outside here. As you're filming this, look outside, you will see the same layering of light and color under the Earth's atmosphere, except we all know, and we can prove, there is no atmosphere on the moon. Just watch a star as it goes behind the moon some night. It does not twinkle. It disappears like that. So John Lear, dear John, you're wrong. There is no atmosphere on the moon. But there are these huge grids of glass. And when you look in the right way at these pictures, remember, this is an official picture. Not only do you see the color spectrum of a sunrise, but right here, there's this nice, incredible prism made of glass, refracting sunlight back into the camera. And notice the angle. It's almost horizontal because when Saarinen took this picture, the sun was to his back, he was facing almost directly away from the sun, and the geometry of the domes made the prism flat. This, to me, is overwhelming evidence of these ancient lunar domes.
And we've learned that NASA is very happy to adjust the color of their images from the Mars images.
Oh, instantly. Instantly.
Wonderful.